I'm Dewan L. Hearn, more affectionately known as the Moon, and this is Moon Equals Wrestling. Welcome to the Moon Equals Wrestling podcast. I wish this episode had me in a better mood. I'm gonna be real with you. This is not a happy subject, but I'm gonna try my best to at least end it on a happy note. I'm gonna be mad through part of this, so let's just kind of ride with it. Let's just go ahead and get into why we're talking about it. A lot has happened in wrestling. I'm gonna touch on that before we get into our main subject. I did 2 episodes last week. I talked about Maxine Dupree, and I did my episode about post elimination chamber, where we're going from here. And I had a hard time. I'm gonna be honest with you. I had a hard time figuring out what I was going to talk about this week. And honestly, I felt that I covered enough. I thought 2 episodes was good. I figured nobody would ultimately miss me this week if I took a week off. And there's a lot of little things that happened that all kind of deserve to be acknowledged and recognized. So I'm going to talk about those first before I go into my rant. So congratulations to Paul Heyman for being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this year. That will take place around WrestleMania. Bull Nakano, I'm not familiar with that wrestler, but she will also be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. This past weekend, the icon Sting, probably literally one of the most iconic wrestlers of wrestling, had his last match. It was a tag team matchup, him partnering up with Darby Allin to go against the Young Bucks with the AEW World Tag Team Championships on the line. So kudos to an amazing, 40-year career for Sting. Maybe 50. Just a really long time the man's been in the ring. I think he made a debut around the time I was born. So kudos to Sting. I hope you take some significant time off, recoup, take some time to just kind of reflect on the career, and you enjoy where you are now. If you come back to wrestling, we're cool if you stay out of the ring. Just enjoy the sport. You deserve it. I can't always say I was always the world's greatest Sting fan. I wasn't familiar with his work in WCW as much, but I do note that he was a very significant player in the main event scene at WCW. After he left WCW, after the buyout from WWE, he went to TNA, and I was there for that. I was paying attention to his run in TNA, and so many great moments, some very sad. That's Victory Road, of course, the Victory Road incident. Sting was a part of that. I'm glad to eventually have seen Jeff Hardy and Sting shake hands, to see Jeff Hardy, in front of the world say, "Hey, man, I'm sorry." If you don't know about the Victory Road situation, look it up. Just search for Jeff Hardy, Victory Road. You'll see it. We can talk about it on a different day. Realistically, Sting, you deserve an episode all on your own. I might work on that. But like I said, I'm most familiar with your time in TNA wrestling, and what a great time it was. The creation of Joker Sting versus like Crow Sting, your ability to reinvent Sting while still being Sting is a testament to character development for any creative and to wrestling fans around the world. So God bless you, and I pray for the absolute best for you. Okay, okay. Now I can be mad. So this is being uh, video recorded because that's the thing now. Why not? And surprise to no one, I, Juan L. Hearn, am black. Black in creative spaces is a very unique thing. Not unique. That's the wrong word. Um, it's particular. It's particular. I think the world of writing and filmmaking and even wrestling is a lot more diverse now. I don't think it's a strange thing to see a wrestling match with black wrestlers or to see stories written by black people. But and sadly, there's always a but. There will always be people who are divisive and they still want their things to be as white as possible. And yeah, this is going to be race based. And so if you're not cool with that, you might as well sign off now. But that also does kind of say something. And I kind of need everyone to stick around. Recently, to promote the official release of WWE 2K24, uh, WWE released the photos that they took of the cover artists, which includes the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, the Eradicator, the WWE Women's World Champion Rhea Ripley, and of course the EST of WWE Bianca Belair. Objectively, those are three of the top stars in WWE right now. Objectively. You can say that Cody Rhodes can lead the charge. Rhea Ripley can lead the charge. Bianca Belair has been leading the charge. And as far as top baby faces, whether Rhea Ripley counts as a baby face right now or not, uh, all three are loved by the fans. All three can be put into a title match, win the title, and nobody's surprised because they deserve it. They've put the effort in the ring, and they've shined. They've shined. Then somebody's always got to be mad. Apparently, here's what happened. So the pictures were released. I believe this happened mostly on Instagram, and because social media. And the pictures are put out to promote the upcoming game, which is released today or tomorrow, one of the two. And there's a lot of people who are saying, "Oh yeah, we're cool with the Cody and the Rhea, but not Bianca Belair." And there was enough of a backlash against Bianca Belair because she's black. One person even said, "Oh, well, they got to have a black on there, a black." So much so that it required another outpour from wrestlers like Rhea Ripley, like Becky Lynch, like Zelina Vega, like AJ Francis, like Big E. And all of these wrestlers had to make a statement to defend Bianca Belair. Who the hell has to defend Bianca Belair being given a top spot? Who? Who? Nobody. Nobody has to defend that. Bianca Belair has been at the top, and she's been champion 3 times. And as I said online, she's been black. So if y'all want to complain about Bianca Belair being black, y'all late. Y'all are real late. And it makes no sense for this to be a conversation in 2024. That is, it's the most asinine thing I can think of, if I'm being completely honest. The very idea, the concept of being mad that someone is super successful in such a diverse place as professional wrestling from fans, fans of the sports, fans of the space, fans of the genre, wrestling fans. And y'all are mad because someone is black and getting recognized because they deserved it, because they earned it. She absolutely earned that. As a lot of people have stated and put out there, particularly the tweet by Biggie. And Biggie has always been big on representation and making sure that the space for black people in wrestling is clean, is pure, and it's not full of caricature. You know that, and if you look at the New Day as a whole, you're looking at 3 wrestlers who exemplify what it means to be black and what it means to be pro wrestler without having to be a stereotype of a black wrestler. You know, someone like Bobby Lashley, who, when Bobby Lashley had the Hurt Business, and it was Bobby Lashley and MVP and Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, and they're showing up in suits, but they're handling their business. None of that was about being black, but they were being black while doing it. And that to me is one of the best examples of representation in professional wrestling. The Hurt Business was flawless. That's why there were so many people who were itching to get the Hurt Business back. And quite honestly, if I want the Hurt Business back, I want the original 4. I need Lashley, MVP, Alexander, and Benjamin. I need all of them together because that 4 tandem was good. Now, if you expand on that with the Street Profits, Bobby Lashley's hanging out with the Street Profits. I don't think that they officially announced themselves as the Pride, but I believe that was the name that they were working with. Um, Again, these are characters who exemplify what it means to be black without being black characters. They're characters, they're people, they're wrestlers, they're fathers, they're husbands, they're moguls, they're tough, they're strong, and they're black. And without trying to be like black characters, they were just characters while they were just wrestling while black. Hence the name of this episode, Wrestling While Black. And to see someone as talented, as 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 athletically gifted as Bianca Belair is, and if you look back at what she was doing at the University of Tennessee, the track records under Bianca Belair, what she's able to do. If you watch, I forgot what they call it, but it's like a combine that they would do in NXT, where it was a legit competition amongst the NXT roster, and you would sit there and watch them perform feats of strength and speed and power. And Bianca is killing it. That's her legit strength, not her kayfabe strength, not her kayfabe power, not the lift that she's doing while the other person's doing their part in supporting. This is legit her power, her strength, her speed. When she says she's the EST, she means that. When she says that she's worked towards being the strongest, the fastest, the roughest, the toughest, the best, that's because she's shown it and she's proven it. Not only that, but she's taken to wrestling. Because I remember watching Bianca Belair and not being a fan. Kind of a similar story as me with Tiffany Stratton. No doubt of her power, no doubt of her skill, but her character development was lacking, and she relied a lot on the hair. And nowadays, it's very rarely used as a weapon, which shows how much she's grown and developed as a character because she's taken to wrestling like a fish takes to water, like a bird to flight. Bianca Belair is so talented, and to watch someone so skilled be demeaned it's not even, while it's comparable to the Maxine Dupree situation, where you could just not like Bianca Belair and then that's just what it is. You don't have to be a fan of hers, but got to give her her due. You can not like uh, Maxine Dupree or not like Bianca Belair. You cannot like her character, but have a good reason. I didn't like Tiffany Stratton's character because she had that entitled diva type of mentality, and I just don't like that character art. Um, Giselle Shaw had a very similar character arc in her beginning at TNA. I didn't like it. Had nothing to do with her being new or being skilled or not skilled. Had absolutely nothing to do with her being trans. I just don't like that character, no matter who has it. Tiffany Stratton had it. I didn't like it either. But now that Tiffany Stratton has moved away from it, I like the new direction. Um, even Kiana James had a character that's in that vein, entitled "Rich Girl Businesswoman," and I'm like, it's kind of, I'm not a fan of that either. She's slowly moving away from that being her main thing, and I'm enjoying the character a lot more. So as Bianca Belair moved away from the heel with the hair and just gone into her power, I love it. And I've loved Bianca Belair. I was rooting for her when she won the Royal Rumble, when Bianca Belair was headlining WrestleMania in the main event with Sasha Banks. To see that emotion, to see that energy between the two of them, understanding, to hear Michael Cole acknowledge that these are two Black women main eventing the biggest wrestling show in the sport, bar none. I mean, Wrestle Kingdom is close, but Wrestle Kingdom's not WrestleMania. You know, Double or Nothing, it's up there. It's not WrestleMania. Starcade, not WrestleMania. And Bound for Glory, not WrestleMania. WrestleMania is WrestleMania. And every wrestler in the world would love to do a thing at WrestleMania because it's that goal. It's the Olympic gold medal. To perform at WrestleMania is the Olympic gold medal for professional wrestling. And to get that main event spot, to have the spot that everyone is sitting in the crowd waiting to see, and you hold and captivate that spot, that's a lot of pressure. And they gave it to two Black women, two of them. Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair was just as good. But meaningful, meaningful. Bianca Belair, 3-0 at WrestleMania, Royal Rumble winner. Uh, three-time women's champion. She's got more titles coming. And to see this as the reaction, people who claim to be wrestling fans viewing someone with the skill set the character arc change and development as Bianca Belair, someone who has hit all the marks that Bianca Belair has hit, to see her being relegated to you know, the black that they had to have because reasons or because of wokeness or because of affirmative action or whatever bullshit excuse people are trying to come up with, is painful because it's a reminder that no matter how far we've gone, no matter how far we've gotten, damn it, we're still not there. And black people are excelling in professional wrestling everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. Bobby Lashley is still a top name. We still are looking at the Street Profits as one of the top tag teams. The New Day is still the New Day. Kofi Kingston still Kofi Kingston. Xavier Woods is still Xavier Woods, and Big E is still Big E. You know, The Rock is still The Rock, and yes, The Rock counts. Bianca Belair is doing amazing, fantastic things, and there is so much hype on Jade Cargill. Let's see it happen. I remember looking at one of the tweets in this situation from AJ Francis. That was Top Dollar, if you're not familiar. He was Top Dollar in WWE as part of Hit Row. And he made mention of people who are always comparing Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair and throwing BFAB into that. BFAB was the white haired member of uh, Hit Row. And I had to respond because admittedly, I compare Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill all the time. And my reasoning for this, not because they look alike or because that's the thing we're still dealing with, but because the role that I saw Bianca Belair holding in WWE is very similar to the role that I saw Jade Cargill holding in AEW. There is a space that is still being revolutionized in professional wrestling, and right now is like a highlight of it. Okay. There's a space where we don't need scantily clad, big breasted, fat ass, um, you know, uh, women prancing around in lingerie or whatever in order to be sexy or pretty. You know, um, PHAT, fat ass. In the more positive light. That's not necessarily the definition of beautiful. You know, I like me a thick chick just fine. But now we have more women who are exerting their power, their strength, and their skill in the ring. We're having women doing mat wrestling, technical wrestling. We have, and this is the space that I found that Belair and Cargill are revolutionizing. Uh, Jade was doing it in AEW, Bianca was doing it in the WWE. Is the space of the muscular, feminine, beautiful woman. A space where a woman can look built and toned and muscular and cut and still be considered uh, beautiful and still be considered feminine, you know, without again having to prance around in next to nothing and showing off their bodies. Uh, Jade Cargill in the WWE now, people say she's still green. I haven't seen her wrestling in WWE yet, so I can't really see where the wrestling is. But seeing her develop in AEW, I'd say she probably would be considered green in the opinion of a lot of people. And because they both held that sort of Miss Olympiad kind of um, bodybuilder type of bodies and their body shapes, I think that, since Bianca held that role in WWE, how to exemplify that in a WWE style would be a reason why Bianca Belair should work alongside Jade Cargill. And I've always said that, and I stick by that. But to be very clear, that's very different than looking at them and being like, she's black, they're the same. So yeah, they're together. We can't do that. BFAB held a completely different role in Hit Row. She was the female member of a faction. Uh, she was she was a female version of the guys in Hit Row. These were four people: uh, Swerve, Shanta the Adonis, BFAB, and Top Dollar, who all came from a space, and they related to each other, and they were a faction. And they were together. BFAB, beautiful as she is, had nothing to do with Jade Cargill or Bianca Belair. They weren't even close. So how people are associating them goes beyond me. But the real complaint that AJ Francis had in his tweet was the use of terms like ghetto and ratchet. And I'm still shocked that people are using the word ratchet still. The fact that a black woman has to be ghetto or ratchet pisses me off. These women like Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair are fitting into this space, which they're accompanied by uh, Chris Statlander, Ivy Nile, and of course, one of my personal favorites is Jordan Grace. And I have a friend, Carrie, who's wrestling down in Florida, and she fits the same mold. She is ripped. She is cut. You're going to see her on this channel at some point sooner than later. And she's a beautiful woman who is very muscular, very fit, and they do bodybuilding competitions. Jordan Grace does bodybuilding competitions. And Jordan Grace, if you follow her career, her body has transformed over the last some odd years to this cut masterpiece that she is today. And that is not only a normal now, it's a norm now. It's being highlighted and exemplified, shown off and celebrated. And that's the role that Bianca Belair was holding in WWE, a space that was held by Jordan Grace in TNA and Jade Cargill in AEW. But now, Jade's in WWE, and you still have these incredible black women who are doing these wonderful works in the ring, and we're still dismissing them. Not a professional wrestler, but Michelle Obama is 1,000 times over again. I'm constantly seeing, women like Michelle Obama and women like Jade Cargill and women like Bianca Belair being compared to men, saying, "Oh, that must be a man. I bet she's a man." Can't tell you how many times during the Obama presidency that Michelle Obama was referred to as a man, that she was Michael Obama or some dumb shit like that. In the inherent level of racism involved in such a statement, and to be made so boldly. Political views aside, that's for my other podcast. That's for the Moon Unscathed. We may touch on that. We may have to do part 2 over there. But it's so painful to see racism exist in such a space where you need someone like AJ Francis or Big E to say, no, these are beautiful black women who are exuding a talent that you clearly don't have. And don't shit on them because of your lack of abilities. It hurts me because it's a reminder, as someone who's black in a space, I'm writing while black, filmmaking while black. Jordan Peele is going to be looked at in a certain light. Uh, these filmmakers and writers and authors are going to be looked at in a certain light. Tyler Perry's of the world are going to be looked at in a certain light, always in comparison. And all we want is to exist in this space on equal footing as everyone else. That's it. That's all. That's the whole rap. And we can't. We can't even have someone as exalted and celebrated as Bianca Belair be on the cover of a video game without racist asshats jumping in there and ruining the whole thing. Because I'll speak from personal experience. As beautiful as it is to see so many people rush to Bianca Belair's aid, rush to her side, rush to her defense, go out of their way to say how incredibly talented, how incredibly sweet and kind that she is as a person, as a wrestler, as thoughtless and selfless as she is in her profession. It all means something. But the sting of knowing that she was relegated to just a black, a racial obligation on the behalf of the WWE or 2K to be just dismissed. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. And it's gonna hurt in a different way than the Maxine Dupree situation. Because Maxine Dupree is criticized for her skill and her actions in the ring. If she went off TV and honed her skill, came back, had a match that was 5 stars to everybody, then everyone will just say, man, I remember when she was not so great in the ring, but look at her now. Just like how I have my opinion on both Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, as we talk about them. I wasn't a big fan of them at first. Not to say that they were bad, just I wasn't a fan. And Jade Cargill was green in the beginning to me. She was new. She was a rookie. Of course she was going to come across green. Obviously. Because she was green. It was her rookie year. But Jade Cargill can improve her in-ring skill. And then that's what's talked about in comparison. Maxine Dupree can improve in her in-ring skill. And then that will be what's talked about. So the things that you're looking negatively on someone for, they can always improve on those things and be better, and thus garnish new opinions and criticisms therein. Bianca Belair was born black; she'll die black, and she'll be black every day in between. She can't change that. She'll always be Bianca Belair, a black woman, a black wrestler, a successful black woman who wrestles. Someone who is being criticized, not because of her in-ring skill, not because of her character, inside or outside of the ring, kayfabe or otherwise, not because of her title reign, because she's scheduled to win. Because let's remember, professional wrestling is scripted. So all those wins were planned by writers. And those writers wanted her to win for whatever stories that they were telling. She's being criticized because she's black. Her only crime is wrestling while black. It's her only crime, the only one. And she'll be guilty of that every day of her life. And all I can pray is that she'll never stop wrestling until she's done with wrestling. We love you, Bianca Belair. We love you, Jay Cargill. We love you, BFAB. There are so many incredible Black people in wrestling. I mean, in wrestling, period. Like everywhere in wrestling. You've got people on commentary like Booker T. You got Byron Saxton. Shout out to both of y'all. You got Mark Henry behind the scenes. Shout out to you. I got me a list. Damn right I do. I want to make sure there's enough people recognized. Josiah Williams, incredible musician. Um, he has got to be recognized. I don't think he gets enough credit just in his own right, period, point blank. And then you've got so many incredible Black wrestlers, men and women. The space is chock full of them. We can't ignore them. I'm going to miss some because there are so many. Let's go get into them and give them their flowers here, right? Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams, Jonathan Gresham, Keith Lee, The New Day, Xavier Woods, Austin Creed, uh, Kofi Kingston, and Big E. What those three have done for Black representation cannot be topped by anybody. Anybody. So kudos to those three in the way they represented being Black, being fathers, being men, being wrestlers, being Black. Bobby Lashley, MVP. Shout out to Omos, Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin, Swerve Strickland, Prince Nana. We see you. All of Hit Row, past and present. That includes Swerve. So we're talking about Shanta the Adonis, B-Fab, even though I'm going to get to the women here in a minute. AJ Francis, always repping the culture. Rich Swann and Moose, TNA World Champion. Gotta give credit to The Rock. You know, I feel like The Rock kind of gets that slightly dismissed space as far as Black representation because so much of his legacy and his history revolves around his Samoan connections. So that puts him in that same vein as the Roman Reigns and the Usos, you know, the Rikishis and you know, the Head Shrinkers and all those guys. But we can't ignore Soul Man Rocky Johnson, Tony Atlas, the works that they've done. Soul Man Rocky Johnson being The Rock's father, Blackity Black Black. Exemplary beauties and blackness in the achievements that they've made. Leading into the Nation of Domination. So you got your Farouk, you mentioned Mark Henry, your D'Lo Brown. Shout out D'Lo Brown. We share a birthday, October 22nd. And then The Godfather. Gotta love the Godfather character. Devon, the Dudley Boys, one half. Too Cool Scorpio to Scorpio Sky. You know, and then so many other Black men in between who are doing the damn thing, all guilty of wrestling while Black and not letting that crime stop them from their excellence. Black excellence is still a thing, and I pray that one day I'll be able to be a part of that Black excellence, working on it. Looking at the beautiful women that have been part of this same space, also guilty of just wrestling while Black. We mentioned B-Fab. We've talked about Belair. We've talked about Cargill. We talked about Mercedes Moné or Sasha Banks. Mia Yim. We ain't going to ignore you. Your Blasian beauty. Black Asian Blasian. Jazz. Hall of Famer Jacqueline. Awesome Kong. Kira Hogan, Athena. You may know her Ember Moon. I can't ignore her Moon name because she's Ember Moon. Um, Queen Amanana. She she's in AEW now. She's up and coming. Another woman that's exemplifying the beauty of being in that muscular feminine space, because women get shit on and black women get shit on twice. It's ridiculous. Your Red Velvets, your Willow Nightingales. I'm a huge fan of Willow Nightingale. Your Brandy Rhodes, and you can't forget the awesomeness of the best ring announcer in the history of ring announcing, Samantha Irvin. Shout out to Ricochet, and shout out to Alicia Scott, keeping that hair natural on TV, representing the culture to the finest. There are so many people in the wrestling world, in the wrestling universe, that are doing the damn thing and exemplary work doing the damn thing. And they get criticized day in and day out. They get ridiculed, they get insulted and put down like they did Bianca Belair just for being on the cover of a video game. Can you imagine going through this career, doing the things you've done, gaining the reputation that you've had, the love of the fans, only the respect of your colleagues, only to be relegated as the obligated black person to put on the cover and have everything you've worked for dismissed. Her high school, her college, her wrestling career, everything dismissed, ignored, just because somebody can't accept the diversity that is professional wrestling. Listen, the beauty of wrestling is how diverse it is. Men and women are now held on more equal ground. The idea that we think that we had a debate on whether or not Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair was going to be the main event last year's WrestleMania, or go with the tag match of the Usos and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. It was a legit conversation, and there was enough to warrant either one. That's the space that women hold now. This is not a sport for just white men anymore. Straight white men, straight Christian white men. Professional wrestling is diverse. There are queer men in professional wrestling. Shout out to the Acclaim. Ah, there are there are there are there are men, there are women, there are queer people, there are trans people, there are white people, there are black people, there are Hispanic people, there are Asian people, there are people from all over the world, every creed, every age range, every space is represented in professional wrestling somewhere. Wrestling contains everyone because wrestling is for everyone. Those are world champions and they represent the world. From Bulgaria to Ireland to Australia to Japan to India to Mexico, everywhere. Professional wrestling is not just, the United States, Canada, Britain, and Japan. Professional wrestling is everywhere because wrestling represents everyone. Because wrestling is for everyone. So, I will close this rant with this. To my brothers and sisters in wrestling, the only crime in the world you'll ever be guilty of is wrestling while black. That, you've all received a pardon. So now let's go out there and fill these beautiful spaces with our beautiful faces. Well, your beautiful faces, and then this thing. And let's just do the thing that pisses off the racists more than everything. Because understand, the only people I'm actually mad at are racists. And racists look like everybody. So if you're racist, fuck you. And I say that with my whole chest. Fuck you. To everyone else, you're part of the family. You're part of the wrestling family. We're all part of the wrestling family. We're all wrestling cousins. So to all my other wrestling cousins, to my brothers and sisters, go out there, be black, be excellent, be kind. The last thing the world needs is more negativity. And while we have every reason in the world to react that way and respond in kind, it does nothing for us. That's where I'm going to leave this. Not the kind of episode I want to do, not the rant I wanted to go on, but a necessary one. Because whether you're writing while black, wrestling while black, walking while black, driving while black, there are people who want to see that as a crime. We refuse to live in that world. So, to everyone, be kind, spread love, and enjoy this beautiful theater that we call wrestling. Juan L. Hearn, this is Moon Equals Wrestling. Have a great night.